Hello everybody and welcome to this new video. As some of you might already know, I recently completed a challenge while live streaming on Twitch. If you follow me for a while, you remember the "Can you beat Monster Hunter World Iceborne without ever drawing your weapon" video I published back in 2019. So I decided to try the same challenge here in Monster Hunter Rise. The objective is going through all the way to Thunder Serpent Narwa, from low rank to high rank, without using your main weapon. Bombs, Wyvern riding, restocking, kunai, hunting helpers, use of bodies, environmental traps are all allowed. Any kind of mod is banned. I will start explaining how I went through this challenge starting from the low rank, precisely from Hinoa's quest in the village. It doesn't make much sense to complete low rank hub quest if you play in solo, so I completely skipped them and got access to high rank hub through the special license test you unlock via the progression of Hinoa's quest. First of all, we need to get the two best palamutes available at the beginning. I'm talking about Thor and MHC palamute. You can download both of them from the add-on content via Sandry the Mailman. These two bodies come with great offensive skills like attack up large and most important status attack up, which will be extremely useful once we unlock sleep weapons for the palamutes. Concerning the armor, you don't have access yet to skills like Bombardier to boost your bomb's damage, so I rather decided to focus on gathering skills and start farming for important crafting materials I would have needed in the near future when facing large monsters. That's why I decided to make use of the Guild Cross armor, and later on crafting other arms and chests to get botanist to level 4 and so being able to get more materials when I gather. At the very start, you can't buy large barrel bombs from the merchant yet, but thankfully we can download the special items packs in the add-on content, which include 30 large barrel bombs. Each large barrel bomb deals 80 fixed damage, which is pretty good in low rank, but since we don't have many of them, we can't waste them right now. So you might be wondering, how do I complete the initial quest when I have to slay small monsters? Kunai? Hunting helpers? No, none of them. I use the palamute. Yeah, you just ride him and you attack using his weapon. That's why it is important to constantly upgrade our baddest weapons throughout our game's progression. In order to get mega barrel bombs, which deal 150 fixed damage, we need to combine large barrel bombs with scatterfish. But we can't afford to lose time at fishing, so we will need to wait to use them. With the first large monsters, in terms of damage output, using the kunai or using your palamute is almost the same, but the farther we progress into the game, the more value your palamute will have, while the kunai will result less powerful, even if you eat for Dango Hardler, which increase your kunai's damage by around 50%. Bombs are incredibly powerful in low rank since the monster's HP is relatively low, but you don't have many of them. Another way to deal damage would be by using the hunting helpers, like the fire beetle or the poison toad. Lastly, we can use wyvern riding, but the damage you can deal with it in low rank it's really low and it doesn't make much sense to use it since bombs deal way more damage. But to get bombs, you need to combine large barrel bombs with gunpowder. And gunpowder is made from fire herb and nitro shroom. These are the two most important materials we need to gather every time we depart for a quest. Luckily, there are some gathering spots for these materials in the shrine ruins, so we are fine. Another major aspect is the capture of the monster. Of course, we want to capture them to save time, but in order to do that we need traps and trunk bombs. And guess what? We don't have trunk bombs at the very start of the game. So we need to gather butter shrooms and sleep herbs to combine trunk bombs. Regarding the traps, thankfully we have some of them from the special packs we downloaded from the add-on content at the beginning. Once we finish them though, we need to gather some thunderbugs to craft shock traps, or webs and ivy to craft nets, and therefore pitfalls. After completing the first urgent quest, Great Itsuchi, we can finally buy large barrel bombs from the merchant. They are expensive, so the best solution is to buy them in stock when they are on sale. No need to worry about the money, because you can sell the 10 golden eggs in your item box and earn 200,000 zenny. We can also now trade scatterfish via the Argosy. The The drawback, however, is the poor amount of scatterfishes we can get after every quest, just 2 per submarine, which means we can use only 2 mega large barrel bombs per quest for now. After slaying a great buggy, we unlock the first sleep weapons for our baddies. From now on, we can deal more damage by making monsters sleep and wake them up using either a mega barrel bomb or a blast toad. Remember that there is a damage multiplier for the wake up hit which doubles your damage. In the Frost Islands there is a hunting helper which you can't find in the shrine ruins, the lantern bug. Some of you might think, but wait, isn't that hunting helper completely useless for this challenge? And yeah, you could be right about that. But there is something about this hunting helper some of you might not know. If you get yourself involved in an explosion while possessing a lantern bug, you can deal extra damage to the monster. That's something I casually learned myself during this challenge. After slaying Aknosom, you unlock the Dango Trainer skill, which speeds up your body growth. The higher your palamute level, the higher the attack. Not only that, it is important to level up your body as soon as possible to unlock important skills and slots for them. Reaching level 20, for example, unlocks the status attack up skill, and it requires 3 slots. We also unlock the side quest Cultural Exchange to get 1 extra submarine and therefore doubling up our scatterfish harvest after each quest. Now we can use up to 4 mega large barrel bomb per quest. We also unlock 2 new locales. In both sandy plains and flooded forests we can pick up the sleep toad, so we can get a free sleep on a large monster. However, we don't have any puppet spiders here, so we need to figure out another way to trigger the Wyvern riding. Well, the easiest way is to use a stink mink and lure a monster to another one and make them attack each other to get the mount. In this way though, we can't decide which monster to ride first. It's time to talk now about the weapon choice. You might probably wonder what's the point of choosing the weapon if you can't use it anyway. But you need to know that there are some ramp up skills which helps the hunter even if you don't use the weapon itself. For example, Body Rally, which boosts your Palico or Palamute's attack by 10%. Another and stronger ramp up skill, especially for this challenge, is Master Rider, which boosts the damage you can deal with monsters during Wyvern riding by 10%. This is the ramp up skill we are going to equip. So I decided to craft the Bnahabra gun lance, which is the easiest weapon you can craft that has this ramp up skill. After completing the first rampage at 3 stars quest, we unlock the ramp up system to augment our weapons. There is just a little problem. Well, it's true that I unlocked the Master Rider skill, but I can't use it yet because it requires Defender Tickets 3, which are obtainable only from Rampage quest of 6 stars. In a few words, we need to go through the whole low rank without this useful ramp up skill. After we beat Bishaden, we get the 4 stars quest, and among them Somnacant. This monster's armor is the first and only armor that gives the Bombardier skill. Unfortunately, we can only reach level 2 though. Well, better than nothing. So I decided to farm this monster to get his arms and coil and reach Bombardier at level 2. I got pretty unlucky with the drops. The freaking Somnacant claw was impossible to get. Of course, the desire sensor punished me during this challenge, it couldn't have gone differently. After many Somnacant, I finally crafted just one piece, the arms. Somnacant weapons for our Palamutes have also higher attack and sleep than Baggies, so we crafted them for our 2 Palamutes as well. After beating Rathian, Bezarios, Volvidon and Barioth, we have to face the Wyvern of Malice, Magnamalo. The strategy is rather simple. We start by attacking him with the Palamute and get to sleep, so we can wake him up with the bombs. After that we use Great Izuchi. We use all the bombs we have and go back to restock them. Then we use Rathian. We got the poison on Magnamalo as well, we use all the bombs we have and he is capturable. Pretty easy, right? After beating Magnamalo, we unlock the charm melding. The first one we get is generally bad and I always suggest new players not to waste any material on it. But for this specific challenge, this melding is more than enough. In fact, we can already get some really interesting charms sniping for that Bombardier skill. And this is exactly what I did. We have a 70% chance to get a charm with this skill, so it's almost sure that we will get one during the next quest. In the 5 stars quest there is an optional quest whose objective is to capture a Somniacant, so I immediately decided to do it in order to craft the coil I was still missing, to reach Bombardier level 2. This time the desired sensor was kind and we managed to craft the coil. But not only that, we also got really lucky with our first melding and got a charm with Bombardier level 1. So now we can go through the 5 stars quest with 30% more bomb damage thanks to Bombardier level 3. A mega large barrel bomb will no longer deal 150 damage but 195 now. And a large barrel bomb will no longer deal 80 damage but 104. With a similar strategy as we did with Magnamalo, we beat Nargacuga, Zinogre, Rathalos and Angenet. When it's possible, we use hunting helpers like the Water Beetle, Fire Beetle or Thunder Beetle to get an easy KO, or a Poison Toad to get a free poison. We trigger 1 or 2 sleeps using our Palamil's weapon and wake the monster up using bombs or Blast Toad. This last one is better because deals more damage. We drop all the bombs we have and then we restock. Lastly, we use other monsters to deal damage to the main target using the Wyvern riding system. In lava caverns, we can also use the lava or water vents to deal massive damage. In the flooded forest, we can use the piranha, while in the sandy plains, we can use the purple hermitowers, even though the damage is pretty lame. After beating Almudron, we unlock the side quest Economic Stimulation to get the last submarine, and increase our production of scatterfish from 4 to 6 per quest. We don't need to complete our 6 stars quest anymore after Almudron, but just a special license to unlock the hub quest. There are 3 special licenses we need to complete to unlock the high rank in the hub. The first is about Aknosom and Rathian, the second is Graded Zuchi, Bishaden and Magnamalo, and the last one is Rathalos, Zinogre and Almudron. These quests are harder than everything else we encountered so far, mainly because there are more than one monster to hunt and because we can use the Wyvern ride only on one monster since there are only 2 monsters in the map at the same time. The main target and another one. After Almudron, we also unlock the 6 stars rampage quest to finally get those defender tickets 3 and augment our weapon with the Master Rider ramp up skill. So I slayed the Tigrex in a rampage quest and got those tickets and augmented my weapons equipping the Master Rider ramp up skill. This is how I went through the low rank. It wasn't that hard, but I had to make sure to have a solid strategy from the beginning. Something important I didn't mention is unlocking all the camps as soon as possible, because we need to move a lot around the map for 3 main reasons: gathering, during monsters, and restocking. After more than 8 hours, we finally unlocked the urgent quest The Blue Apex, our first high rank quest whose objective is slaying an Apex Arzuros in a rampage quest. I think it is obvious that this quest was harder than what we were used to in low rank quests. Some people might think that rampage quests are easier than normal ones because we have access to ballista, cannons, dragonators, etc. And that is certainly true if we consider the 3 hordes of monsters. However, it is much more complicated when it comes to taking down the final threat, in this case Apex Arzuros. You have many ways to deal damage to him, but you can't use in any way the counter signal's damage boost because it's only applied when the hunter uses his weapon. The rampage mode has been conceived with the counter signal mechanic, which is by far the most important source of damage. If you remove it, it's not easy at all to hunt the last threat. Well, at the end I successfully took down Apex Arzuros, mainly making use of the elemental bombs, exploding kunai, and villagers like Fugen and Master Utsushi. The very first thing to do after defeating Apex Arzuros is Dango Duty, the side quest that unlocks one of the most useful Dango skills for this challenge, Dango Pyro. This skill automatically upgrades large barrel bombs to mega barrel bombs. Such a blessing. From now on we will still bring 2 mega barrel bombs in our pouch, but all the large barrel bombs we have or we combine will upgrade in mega barrel bombs without the need of scatterfishes. The other 2 Dango skills we are gonna use are Dango Weakener to increase our chance of getting a low HP roll monster, and Dango Rider, which prolongs the Wyvern ride. Next thing is upgrading our armor. We don't want to be one-shotted by HR monsters, so we need to get some materials to craft some HR armor pieces. We will keep the Somniacant armor for the Bombardier level 3 and we will simply change the rest, keeping Botanist Kill to farm quicker and adding a level of Wirebug Whisperer to gain a 30% increase in the duration of the third Wirebug. We can already craft Botanist decorations, by the way, so we will easily be able to keep it at level 4 from now on. The strategy for the high rank part is similar to the low rank one, but there is a key difference. Wyvern riding becomes the highest source of damage now, and therefore we need to optimize the strategy around it as much as possible. Let's call the main target monster X, Barioth for example, and the other two monsters in the map Y, Rajang, and Z, Somnekant, considering Y better to deal damage with when using Wyvern riding than Z. Our objective is using as many times as possible the Wyvern riding mechanic to deal damage to the main target monster, in our case X. So the very first thing to do is Wyvern ride Y and attack X. In order to trigger the Wyvern riding on Y, we can either use the puppet spider, if there is one in the map, or make Y and Z attack each other in the same area. The advantage of using the puppet spider is huge. We can decide who to ride first. In the second case, however, we can't consistently decide which monster to ride first, so it's less efficient. The order of monsters we Wyvern ride is fundamental if we want to be the most efficient as possible and so maximize our damage. The first monster we ride is also the one we can first ride again for the second time. After we do the finisher with Y, we have a timer of 5 minutes to Wyvern ride him again a second time. In this period of time, we will get one sleep using our Palamute and use the bombs plus hunting helpers to deal more damage, like we did already in low rank. After 3.5 minutes, we go after Z. Using a Stinkmink, we lure Z to X and we make them attack each other. The best scenario happens when X attacks Z first, and so triggers the Wyvern ride. We can mount Z, attack X, and before the Wyvern ride ends, we launch Z against X to trigger the Wyvern ride on X. At this point, we can bring X to Y. We will attack Y a couple of times to trigger the rage. In fact, an enraged monster deals more damage with the Wyvern riding, that's why we want to trigger the rage. After Y goes in rage, we can wallbang X 3 times and then launch him against Y to trigger the Wyvern riding for the second time on Y. So we use Y to attack X. If Y deals a lot of damage with Wyvern riding like Rajang, Magnamalo or even Ketsu, the main target X will be capturable after this process. However, if Y is weaker and deals a small amount of damage, then we will need to Wyvern ride Z a second time as well, and hopefully after that, X is capturable. There is a lot of things that can go wrong in this Wyvern riding strategy, especially if we don't have the puppet spider, like in the flooded forest and sandy plains. But there would be so much to talk about this topic, I could speak for hours, and I guess that would be a little too much, so I will stop here. One last thing, let me properly thank Vycery for helping me understand better how this mechanic works and therefore developing a solid strategy. Making large use of bombs has a big drawback: the lacking of crafting materials to combine more of them. That's why we shifted our farming at the Argosy from 3 scatterfish to 1 scatterfish, 1 nitroshroom and 1 fire herb. In this way we can continue to craft gunpowder and therefore large barrel bombs. The farming in high rank becomes heavier, as we need to craft more bombs and so gather more nitroshrooms and fire herbs. But in some maps, these materials can't be found. There's even that. In 4 stars quest we hunted Great Izuchi, Aknasom, Tetranodon, Great Buggy, whose weapons substitute our old sleep palico weapons from low rank Somnekant, and Lagombi. The urgent quest to reach the 5 stars quest is Duratodus. This one was tough. We got extremely unlucky with the monsters, as we got Kuluyaku and Arzuros, both of them super bad to deal damage with Wyvern riding. Plus, we were in flooded forest, so we couldn't even use the puppet spider. Well, whatever. After more than 20 minutes we managed to beat him and we finally unlocked the bomber decoration. So we could swap our low rank armor pieces from Somnekant with some high rank stuff and slot Bombardier with jewels. In the 5 stars quest we did Rathian, whose materials are needed to craft the Bombardier jewel, Puke Puke, Bezarios, Bishaten and Royal Ludrath. The 5 stars quest were by far the hardest stars level among the whole levels, because the main targets are almost every time in either the sandy plains or the flooded forest. where Puppet Spider doesn't exist. This alone made these hunts exponentially harder and also more frustrating, so much that I even had to abandon a couple of times because I couldn't get the monsters to fight each other and trigger the Wyvern riding. Somehow, I reached the urgent quest to access the 6 stars quest, Mizuzune. Needless to say, it was easier than any 5 stars quest just because I could rely on the Puppet Spider since the quest took place in the Shrine Ruins. Mainly with the help of Rathian, our Y monster in the Wyvern riding strategy, we beat Mizuzune. Defeating Mizuzune unlocks the 6 stars quest and among them Somnacant, whose weapons will be our next priority for our Palamutes because of the high sleep status. We also unlock the Wirebug decoration, so it will be easier to slot in that Wirebug Whisperer skill at level 1 in our set. In the 6 stars quest, we hunted Somnacant, whose weapons substituted the baggy weapons for our Palamutes, Zinogre and Barioth. After him, we unlocked the Rampage quest of Ibushi. This was probably the hardest quest of this challenge. I already explained why Rampage quest can be really tough without using your weapon during the Epic Arzuros quest. And if you also add the fact that Ibushi has way more HP than Epic Arzuros and attacks you more frequently when you use Ballista or the Machine Cannon, you can easily understand why this quest is so hard. I managed to defeat him just in time. There was less than 1 minute left. After Ibushi, we continue with Anjanath and Rathalos, so we finally unlocked the urgent quest for the 7 stars quest, Raknakadaki. We beat him in less than 20 minutes, not too bad for our first encounter, considering that we had to use Somnacant and Bezarios to deal damage with, and both of them are bad to deal damage with Wyvern riding. If only we could always get Rajang as the Y monster, we could finish all the quests in less than 10 minutes. After Ragna, we unlock the high rank lava caverns for the Meowcenaries. Sending our bodies there allows to get an important material, the Humble Scraps Plus, which is the required material to craft the best sleep weapons for our Palamutes, the Barking Bell, that has a total of 20 of sleep, that goes up to 22 with the status attack up skill from the Palamute, incredibly good for triggering sleep on monsters. The first monster we took down was Magnamalo, then we continue with Kusarag, Rajang, Diablos and lastly Almudron. These main targets have more HP and are generally harder than the 5 stars monsters, but it's also true that the other monsters in the map are stronger and deal more damage with the Wyvern ride, so that the difficulty doesn't rise, but remains pretty much the same. And finally we reach the final boss, Thunder Serpent Narwa. Considering he's the last challenge, defeating him in 16 minutes without using your weapon at the first encounter can be considered as a good result. The fight was less hard than somebody might expect. You can use the ballista, cannons and machine cannons that appear during the fight on those platforms when Narwa does specific attacks. Not just that, you can also deal an insane amount of damage from the Dragonator and the Spitting Wyvern. Altogether compensate for the lack of other monsters to deal damage with Wyvern riding. And that's how I managed to complete this challenge in Monster Hunter Rise. I hope you appreciate my explanation and strategy idea behind this. It took less than 20 hours, and honestly it wasn't too bad. Now I'm looking forward to playing Sunbreak when it comes out this summer. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!